Hey now! What is up, everybody? My name is Mike Brown, aka Review King MB, and this is the end. The last day of my 31 days of horror movie reviews, and I decided to pick a film that I had never seen before. It's a movie that's always kind of been on my radar. It's a movie that I've always been curious about and have always wanted to see, but surprisingly have not watched it for the first time until right now. I'm talking about Sleepy Hollow. Sleepy Hollow is a 1999 film that was directed by Tim Burton. And I gotta have a question right off the bat. Maybe for people more well versed in Tim Burton movies. I mean, I've seen my fair share, but I haven't seen every single Tim Burton movie. Is this the first and only time Tim Burton directed like a straight up horror movie? I know he's obviously delved into gothic and creepy type imagery and Beetlejuice and Edward Scissorhands and even maybe some later stuff, but I'm talking about straight up horror, people getting killed, slasher style, the movie being more scary in tone, a little darker and more serious. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe there's something I'm just not thinking of. But it was interesting watching this and seeing how much more of a serious tone this was. I looked it up and saw that Burton wasn't originally attached to this movie. He got brought on after the fact, so that might have a lot to do with it as well. The plot is we follow Johnny Depp, which is like, okay, Tim Burton, yeah, Johnny Depp's probably the main actor in the movie. He plays Ichabod Crane, and he comes in to investigate these series of murders. A bunch of people getting their heads chopped off, and Johnny Depp has to figure out not only like who exactly is doing this, even though he gets told who's doing it, but he doesn't necessarily believe it, why it's happening, and how it's happening, because they're all being killed by a headless horseman. Now, what I thought of Sleepy Hollow was I quite enjoyed this movie. I did. I'm glad I am ending this series with a good one. I'm glad I took a chance and I was pleasantly surprised by this movie. And not that I was expecting to dislike it. I think I caught like Tim Burton at that sweet spot right before he kind of started to go off and do some bullshit that I think Tim Burton would go on to do. He got caught in this vortex of the overly CGI, the overly silly tone. This was probably right before that, where it's like, okay, this is still good. This is still not so much CGI. There might have been like one or two scenes where it's obviously CGI, but for the most part, it's practical effects, cinematography, direction wise, like it all looks great. I think it either was nominated or won an Oscar for Best Art Direction. Like it deserves it. This movie looks gorgeous, it looks great. And like I said, the tone of it. Now, Johnny Depp playing Ichabod Crane. Johnny Depp does bring a certain level of silliness to it, but it's not over the top. I think that's why I appreciate it. It's not like he's playing Jack Sparrow. He's not overly goofy to the point where maybe you can't buy him in the role. Who knows? Maybe there are people who can't buy him in this role. He's still pretty young, or young enough to where, like, you almost forget how babyface Johnny Depp used to look back in the day, and you know, I kind of liked younger Johnny Depp, just that energy that he had. And yeah, he was silly in some scenes. There was a couple scenes where he was deathly afraid to like do things, or he would hide behind like even Christina Ricci, or hide behind the little kid that was following him around. Like he's silly, but it's not too silly. At least I didn't feel like it was too silly. I thought he was serious enough to bring me along, or maybe the entire movie surrounding him was super dark and super serious, that's why I didn't feel like he was too bad in that sense. Also, the random flashes of him as a kid with his mother and the fucked up stuff that happened to his mother from his father, like that was pretty goddamn dark. It's funny that the actress that plays his mother, Lisa Marie Smith, who I thought she looked familiar. I looked her up, and she was also in Mars Attacks as the fake. woman that the aliens were pretending to be, right? And she bites Martin Short's finger off. She dated Tim Burton for many, many years. She's in like a bunch of his movies during the 90s, and I'm like, that tracks. Tim Burton tends to put whoever he's dating or married to in his movies just because. I wonder if that's awkward for him to go back and watch older movies with actresses or women that he was dating, but he's no longer with. Christopher Walken plays the Headless Horseman, which I say he plays the Headless Horseman. Maybe he only really plays him in like 2 scenes because I doubt that's him through the majority of the movie of the body that is actually headless. Maybe it is him, I don't know. But because the majority of the movie, it's just the headless guy who's going around on the horse and chopping people's heads off. Either way, that character, that headless horseman character, was creepy, was scary, was imposing. He felt like a legitimate slasher. That's why I was kind of impressed with Tim Burton going as dark and as hard as he did, because I can't think of him usually going this horror, this much. There was some kills in here that I was like, God damn, between the practical effects of seeing people get their heads cut off, or just some of the scenes of him riding in the horse and going after our main character, especially that third act. I'm like, man, this is intense. And I think they're doing a good job of making me feel intense for them. Like Christina Ricci, who plays Katrina Van Tassel. Christina Ricci, I'm not going to lie, I had the biggest crush on Christina Ricci growing up in the 90s. How could you not? It's weird to see her with blonde hair, though. I'm not quite used to it. But I thought she was great. I liked the attraction she had with Johnny Depp, even though you could argue it's fast. And even though she supposedly had her own, like, guy, she still gravitated to Johnny Depp. But he's a good-looking dude, so you kind of get it. They're both 2 attractive people who are into, like, weird goth shit, so I guess that checks out. Also, a good way that you can tell that it's 1999. Casper Van Dien is in this movie. I saw him and I was like, okay, yeah, this is definitely 1999. Because that just seemed to be around the period where that guy was just in a lot of shit for whatever reason. And like, he's fine. There's one scene where he's kind of acting like a high school bully to Johnny Depp, and he pulls a prank on him with the horseman, and I'm like, that's really immature and childish for how old this motherfucker is. But I will say that there is one scene with him where I out loud said, holy fuck! And I don't want to spoil it, but if you've seen the movie, you could probably tell what I'm thinking of. Mark Pickering? He's the little boy, the little kid who, honestly, if Tim Burton made this movie now, that little kid character would have been annoying as fuck. Would have been the comic relief, the overly silly one, the annoying one, the one that I would have wanted probably his head to get cut off because he was so annoying. But honestly, this kid was great. I liked his backstory of why he wanted to go along with Johnny Depp, why Johnny Depp was hesitant to get this kid involved, but he ultimately let him do it. And this kid was capable. This kid was serious. This kid was not goofing around, joking around. He was arguably more ready for the task than Johnny Depp was in some ways. Also, Jeffrey Jones. Like, man, anytime I see Jeffrey Jones in a film, like an older movie, I can't help but think of the gross and fucked up, nasty shit that he did in real life. Fuck that dude. If you don't know what he did, look it up. Christopher Lee was in this movie just for like a quick second, so I thought that was cool. And the score is very obviously by Danny Elfman. There is something about a Danny Elfman score that is so distinguishable for him, and especially when he's paired with Tim Burton. Like, there is a dark and gothness to the music that I totally rock with in this film. What more can I say? I'm kind of talking it up a lot here because it's my first time seeing it, and I just got done watching it, and I was really high on this movie. I was into it. I thought it was a fun ride. I mean, it was 2 hours, but it didn't feel too long. I would definitely, I mean, I don't own it, but I would definitely buy it, add it to my collection. It was solid. Let me know in the comments below if you too have seen Sleepy Hollow. What do you think of it? Do you like it as well? Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and happy Halloween.
Soul's taken over by a devilish path. You got me walking on broken glass, kicking down the door with a Jason mask, with a deck dome machete, but you motherfuckers know it's heavy. Anytime you're ready, you can get you with a Bowie. Setting up to blow me, but the bitch don't know me. Who's going? I'm going. You